Gravity doesn't keep you on the floor prevents you from being dragged into the molten ball of metal that is the Earth's core. You're welcome. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Kyle Monroe, and all babies are just a hard drive that can be programmed with any language. Pokemon is an old series. It's been around for at least as long as I have, and that's literally immortal in gaming years. And with that comes a ton of fan content, but which spooky stories have we told but forgotten about? That's what we're exploring with today's list of the top 10 forgotten Pokemon creepypastas. Subscribe if you haven't yet and stick around until the end for some bloopers because I've screwed up a bunch already. Now, roll the intro. In at 10, Pokemon Forgotten Yellow. After visiting my local GameStop, I had picked up 3 games at random out of the old Game Boy Games bin. After work, I took a better look at them and noticed that they were all kinda messed up. They each had a different color. The Pokemon Yellow cartridge was red. I took it and brought it inside, and luckily my Game Boy still worked. I selected a new game, however the actual game that loaded was the previous owner's save. A text box appeared with Professor Oak's name even though he wasn't around. He was talking about rain. And then that Jeff had blacked out, but this wasn't my save. How did it know my name? The character was named Arnold. The screen faded to black and I shut the Game Boy, but I could still hear Oak singing about the rain. I don't know why you could hear that considering how it was text, but whatever. And at 9, Pokemon Blood. Usually I like finding weird Pokemon games, and recently I found one called Pokemon Red Water. I'm seeing where this is going. But when the game loaded, it was called Pokemon Blood. Yep, there it is. I went to pick up my starter and got my usual selection, but they were all damaged. They had gashes and cuts all over. But I found out while playing that as it took damage, it lost skin. I said to myself that this shouldn't be possible as the game may have been a hack, but it was still using Pokemon Red as a base game, and that game doesn't have these capabilities. But the game heard me. It responded, "You're smart, but not smart enough." I turned the Game Boy off and looked around thinking this can't be happening, but then the Game Boy opened and turned on and said it is happening. I stomped my Game Boy to pieces, but I don't know if I'm safe anymore. And at 8, Pokemon Deadly Y. It was the last day of school and I was screwing around, but then I noticed the Pokemon Y game still in its case laying on the ground. I picked it up and the manual said, "My gift to you, noob." Whoever this noob was had left the cartridge, so I decided to see what kind of terrible team he had because I'm such a pro. The title screen looked terrible. It said press start to die, and the bottom screen had the number 666 along with 2 candles sitting between the numbers. When I clicked start the game, it flashed an image of dead people. I had to play it. I had to see what the hell was going on. His save file was missing, so I made a new one, but Oak was there instead of Sycamore. His face was distorted and he looked like he was going to die. Then he showed me Yveltal puking blood with bloodshot eyes and a bloody nose. Then he collapsed from his injuries. And at 7, Pokemon Bad White version. On September 5th, 2012, I had just gotten Pokemon White version for my birthday. I opened the box and there was no logos on the inside, just a completely white cartridge. I loaded it up and all the colors were diluted, like the saturation had been turned down a lot, but not entirely. There was already a save file with my name on it, and it said 7 hours played, and my Pokedex was nearly full. How in 7 hours could I have done all that, especially when I hadn't loaded the game before? When I loaded the game, I got a message saying leave me alone now, and then my Snivy ended up dying. It flashed a picture that made me sick to my stomach, enough that I could feel my lunch rise to my throat, but I managed to suppress it. A Pokemon battle initiated and it was something I had never seen before. It said it was a Pidove, but its flesh was exposed and torn. It used Screech and that sound was unbearable. It curdled my blood and irritated my skin. Even after closing my DS, the sound kept playing. Only smashing it was the way to end it. And at 6, Pokedeath. What do you really know about Pokemon? Let me tell you, Nintendo lies. I had recently gotten a copy of Pokemon X, but the start was like black and white, and instead of Zekrom or Reshiram, it was Banette. When the game started, all the NPCs would say either a letter from Banette's name, death is from the doll, or ask me to borrow an escape rope so that they could hang themselves. Dude, just get a noose on Amazon. At least they asked politely. If I gave them one, a live action scene would play showing them doing it. If I said no, they would say screw you, won't you let me escape from living in this hell? Professor Juniper was not at her lab, only a grave in her spot. It said that the world was being destroyed by the doll, and it told me to take one of the Pokemon to kill it. I picked Oshawott and walked out of the lab. I was instantly put in a battle with a level 100 Banette. It bullet punched my Oshawott and sent it flying off screen. And then, it turned its gaze to me. And at 5, Charizard! I know you're looking at me weird, but please don't. I'm not meant to look like this. I used to be so happy. My friend loved me so much, but he would always hang out with his Charizard instead of me, since it was his starter after all. But eventually, it ended up dying in a gym battle. He cried all day. But he thought that another one would fix it, so he went and got another, but he is already carrying 6. I told him he could put me away for a little. All I wanted to do was see him happy, so he did, but it was a very long time. While on the PC I could feel myself warping. It sounds strange, I know, but all I could feel was my skeleton being pushed and pulled in every direction. At first it seemed like there was no point to this, but over time, the others in the PC started doing the same. They each started warping into something twisted, something we all wanted to be for our friend, our trainer. Eventually, we all warped into variations of the Pokemon our trainer had lost. We were all deformed Charizards combined with our original forms. I used to be a Bulbasaur, now I'm a Charizard. Kind of. And at 4 trapped in a cave. It was night, the wind was blowing ferociously, so I tried to find a cave. As I did, I saw a light nearby, and I hid to make sure I wasn't attacked, but I saw a terrible sight. A Charizard and what I can only assume was its trainer were nearby. The trainer was on the ground, missing both his legs and an arm, and the Charizard looked terrible. It was crying. I heard the trainer ask his Charizard, who he called Ruby, if she was hungry. She shook her head, but even I could hear her stomach rumble. He insisted that she tell him when she's hungry, since he wants to help, but she continued to shake her head, telling him she wasn't. He told her it was okay as he pet her with his one arm remaining. Ruby hugged him, her eyes getting watery. "Ruby, if you don't eat, you'll starve," the trainer said. Ruby began to cry hard, but her trainer reassured her that it's okay and that she had to eat. The man extended his arm towards Ruby, who stared back at him trying to hold back tears. She reluctantly opened her mouth while the trainer slid his arm between her fangs. "Go on," he says, and she did. The man went to sleep and Ruby cried even harder. The man went to sleep to conserve energy, and Ruby cried even harder because she knew what would happen the next time she got hungry. And at 3, Mount Silver. Years before you meet Professor Oak, he trained Red and got into Mount Silver, but once Red gets there, he isn't heard from again. Oak travels there to see that Red has actually died, but his spirit is still there, and all it says is "help me." Oak tried to find another trainer worthy enough to make it to Mount Silver in order to free Red. The Elite Four is positioned in the perfect place to assure that they are your final test before making the climb. When you finally make it, Red is surprised to see you, but without speaking engages in a climactic battle that wages for an hour. When you finally defeated him, he says nothing, but smiles as he leaves and can finally pass on, not being able to say, but showing you with his smile, "Thank you." And at 2, Flash Caves. We all know that you don't need Flash to get through dark caves, but it certainly does help. However, if you decide to take the dark route, there is actually a trick that works with every Pokemon game. If you walk around for a while, you will eventually find a ladder that isn't actually on the map. It will play the walking downstairs sound 4 times, then ask where you think you are. Then you are transported somewhere. You'll know when you can see, and everything is in black and white. Eventually you'll find yourself a hole in the wall. Go through it and you'll be free, but you won't be able to talk to NPCs anymore. In Pokemon Yellow, your Pikachu follower will become a ghost from the Pokemon Tower, and everything will still be in black and white. The only place you can interact with trainers in Pokemon now is the cave where you use the glitch, and if you try to talk to trainers, all they will say is, "Where do you think you are?" and then you will hear the sounds from before, along with screaming and a thud. Finally, in at number 1, Save Me. After being interested with Lavender Town Syndrome, I got a copy of the original game off eBay just to see if it was real. When I got to Lavender Town, there were no NPCs, just one boy in the Pokemon Tower running in circles. He appeared on every floor, and whenever I interacted with him, he would just say, "Save me." Ghosts in the tower would even turn into this boy, having his cry be actual human crying. Now, I didn't mention this before, but my rival's name was Tyler because it was a suggested option, not because I chose it. But that's weird because this game is in Japanese. I get to the top floor and the room is shaped like a T, and remembering this, I ask out loud if it's Tyler. The child turns around and says yes, save me, then initiates a Pokemon battle, but he never threw out a Pokemon, he just stood there, waiting. I fainted him and all he said was thank you. I fall asleep after what felt like hours, but when I wake up, I'm in a car seat in the back of a car holding a different Game Boy in the parking lot of McDonald's. I get out of the car frantically, leaving the Game Boy there, and I got some change off the ground and used the payphone phone to call my girlfriend. She cusses me out and says that I should have told her I was leaving. At least she sold that damn Pokemon game I bought for way too much money last year. I had been dragged into the game, and now a kid had just taken my place. There we have it, friends, the top 10 forgotten Pokemon creepypastas. Which ones did you already know on this list, and did I remind you of any you forgot about? Let me know below, and while you do that, be sure you hit like and subscribe for daily gaming content, and ring that bell to join the clan and level up. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been Showerman Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video. Now, time to watch me screw up. And then the screen snapped back to normal, to tell me that Pikachu had died. And then the Jeff. What the f? Oh, I get it now, that's a name. That's not a typo. These are all This is why we forgot about them. Oh boy, yeah. Enjoying the bonus content?